Hey, it's Aurora with Lavender Hazelwood Witches. Welcome. Today I'm going to go over some crucial transition points that I think are really helpful when dealing with holding gates for death. There are some things that can help move us through this. So this is going to be a grief and death ritual and helping you find your way through the lens of animal companions and euthanasia, because that I've had to do that 4 times in the last 2 years. It's something we all are going to have to deal with at some point. Anchoring yourself is probably the most crucial part of that job. So first, what is holding a gate? Holding a gate is creating space or creating a container to allow what needs to come up, bubble up, surface, and then move through the pathway. And this helps you as the person holding the gate, and also helps said companion animal or person, if you like, through this initiation as well. I will be showing some footage of my own personal ritual that does include a body. So if you're sensitive to that, I'm letting you know right now, and I will put a marker as to when that footage will pop up. And I think this is a great time to sort of delve back into this, being the time of year that it is. The veil is thinning, and you know, our companion animals do become our ancestors. They are family members. They are guys. Hey, thank you. I will introduce you to Cleo too, and Lexi. Lexi, I'm dog sitting, but Cleo has been sort of meandering into my videos lately, and she is my latest adoptive companion animal. So I'll just give you the quick rundown here. So yeah, I started fostering her because the shelters were begging for fosters for big dogs over the summer, especially around the 4th of July, and they still are, by the way, all of them across the country. But I couldn't just sit there and not do anything when I had space. So I agreed to foster and help another dog or two move along to their home. But clearly she stayed. She's a great dog, and reminds me in many ways of Ludo, who passed away 2 years ago.
You getting down?
Who is my first adult dog and the best. They're all amazing, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So when we're having to let go, when we're having to make the decision to let them go, that is sort of like the first piece. And then actually doing it is the second piece. There are layers that we move through when we're holding a gate like this. Learning to manage and move through them like water is helpful and beneficial, especially when we're on fire. There will be internal markers along the way that will show you when it's time for you to let go. And I think the first thing that I've noticed, they say that the spirit doesn't actually leave the body when the physical body dies. It sticks around for a while. And I definitely feel that. I definitely believe that. If you've been through it, maybe there's a sense of like they're not completely gone. The body's still warm. It's just like they're there, but they're asleep. And that sense can last for some time. It's not like an instantaneous thing. The spirit leaves and, has its own timing. And being able to see that happen and move accordingly with it helps you transition, so it doesn't feel like a severing, and the letting go process is easier. It's more fluid, I should say, instead of like chopped off. There's this detachment point that kind of will kick in. All of a sudden you'll feel like, there'd be like an internal feeling of, there's separation. There's some kind of separation that's just happened. It'll feel like a sense of releasing, letting go, like you're ready to move on. And that can come really quickly, or it can come a little bit further on down the line. If you need or want to keep the body around, I have a video on how to do that at home. I'll leave the link up above. There's a couple of other things just to be aware of, I think, when letting go too, and that is, well, this is an obvious one, but the more emotionally connected we are, the harder it is to let go in a lot of ways. But the second piece of this too is the more guilt or shame that is attached to your relationship with the being, the harder it is to let go as well, because there is going to be a part of you that will want to make it right or still have time with them. It won't feel complete. It'll feel like an open-ended regret that can make it a lot harder to hold this gate open. So, from a personal standpoint, when my cat Snick died, I felt like it felt complete. I didn't feel the need to hang on more than I needed to say goodbye. When my cat Noland passed away, I felt a ton of guilt because in a way I loved Snick more. And that's horrible to say, right? But like, Snick was my soulmate, and his brother from the same litter, Noland, was not my soulmate. So we had very different relationships, but I felt like I should love them the same amount. So I felt guilty. I had a lot of guilt about that when letting him go. And that let me hang on a lot more and didn't allow me to say goodbye as cleanly. So holding that gate open for him was like dragging my feet. It was pretty excruciating. Having a clean relationship or understanding what's coming up when you're holding a gate is helpful in this process too. Gates are an entrance point and can be full of initiatory energy in them, which often requires you getting bigger than the circumstances surrounding you. Doing that consciously instead of traumatically, because you can do that traumatically and disassociate, or you can do it consciously and keep your bearings through the whole process and stay grounded. And ways to do that, like you've gotta let in the pleasure in this as well. I know that sounds weird, but any way you can find pleasure through the experience will help balance out the grief that is coming up too. You can continue talking to them. I think that helps make the transition from them not physically being there anymore to being there in spirit, and having your relationship change like that. It becomes a nice bridge. But that is solely completely up to you and your relationship and how you function as a human being. There's a squirrel upset because Cleo's out there. There are simple things that can help, such as like a scent that brings you pleasure, a sound or a song that brings you pleasure, a poem, cooking your favorite foods, doing something that they would like. Things like that help you stay grounded. For me, I talk to them. I bring flowers for them and put them on their body. I pet them and just give them love that I know I won't be able to do anymore after that. And that helps bring grounding and presence into something that feels utterly unbearable. So a ritual is really helpful when you need structure and a pathway to help you stay grounded in this. And there are certain things you can include, like maybe clothing items, asking others that had meaningful relationships to your passed on companion animal or to you if they would join you in the celebration of their life or this transition point. Candles are really helpful because candles they bring in a certain aliveness and energy into the space that is missing when the energy of your pet is not there anymore. Playing music they might have liked or that means something to you as you're saying goodbye to them. Also herbs are helpful as well. I specifically like to use rosemary because it is the herb of memory and remembrance, and what I do is I create a little bundle and with a note and tie it to their tail before I send them off. And I made a video on how to do that as well. So these are the types of things you can incorporate into your ritual. There will be a point where you feel the spirit has left. You kind of can't it doesn't feel like they're sleeping anymore. You know, something, it's gone beyond that. And literally what you have left is a hunk of meat. Hi, Lexi. You'll feel that transition. You'll feel it. You'll know when it's time. But my care never leaves, and I still do things for them even after they're dead. Once the spirit has detached, you kind of know, okay, now it's time for the final goodbyes and preparation for the body to go wherever it's going to go, whether you're composting, cremating, aquamating, burying. That would be the next transition point. I know a woman who actually, when her animals die, she cremates them. And she actually goes to the crematory and pulls the lever or the switch for them to... That might be a relationship that you could set up with the crematory near you, if that is something that you would like to do. Once they're gone like that, you can still communicate with them in dreams. I mean, experiences I've had is, well, communicating in dreams. I do journey work and visit them on the astral. I have had their spirits come back and have had interactions with them in my home. And ways that you can keep them around is through their belongings. I mean, the easiest thing is having a collar or a tag or their leash or something like that. A toy. All of those things will help keep them around. I have many dedications to them. The main altar has a colorful lantern, and inside is a big candle. It's sort of a gateway or entrance where I can communicate with them. It specifically seems to be a bridge to 3 of my animals, in particular, Snick, Ludo, and Mobley. But there are other things you can kind of use to summon them, such as bells, incense, other scents. Like I said, they're things that were close to them, like their toys, their collars, their tags. Oh my, Lexi. She's playing with a bone. And having all of these around will keep their spirit in your space as well and keep them close. I know I've gone on a long time on this topic. I hope I was able to give you some markers to think about, especially if you know this transition is coming up for you, on how to deal with it, create a ritual, and anchor yourself. I have, like I said, 2 other videos on death and grieving that might be helpful when creating the space for this and holding the gate. And much love to you if you're going through this transition.